welcome to a special holiday edition of Bronx Talk. This year we celebrated the 32nd year of BronxNet television. I'm proud to say I've been here for all 32 years, literally since the first day. Since BronxNet began before there was even News 12, a lot of people probably don't know that the first Bronx TV news show was a BronxNet show called BXNY. So check this out. When BronxNet signed on, what you're about to see was the very first story that was on the air on BronxNet television. So we turned the clock back to literally the first moment of BronxNet TV, July 1st, 1993, and a feature I did on a Bronx teen who became a national chess champion. Take a look.
He is only 13 years old, but he has already mastered the chessboard. In fact, he's the best in the country in his age group. Gary Axelbank has the story about this dedicated young man from Morrisania.
His name is Victor Vargas, and he's much like other 13-year-olds in the Bronx.
I like to play basketball and sometimes baseball.
Watch video games?
And sometimes, when I have time.
But Victor Vargas is special. He's the winner of this year's National Chess Championship for 13-year-olds.
At first, I was a little nervous, but like I've been already in other tournaments, so I just adjusted to it. The players were kind of easy for me, because I'm at a higher level, except for the last two games.
It was a very good experience, not only for my team, also for myself. I got a chance to see them play for the third time now in another national. And this time we came back as a winner. And that was a thrill, something that you can't even describe until you get there.
Even though he's graduated out of School District 9, like 4,500 other Bronx children, Victor still plays chess in the District 9 chess program.
It's better than the one I'm in right now. You know, it sends me out more and it teaches me more. So I spend more time playing chess in District 9.
It's the way you teach it. You got to teach it. And like I say, it's an alternative. You got to give them something to look at, something for them to really be into it, besides just playing Nintendo and going to other games. When they see chess, they get into the chess program, they get into the chess game, and when they start winning, once they get that first win, then you got them hooked forever.
To hear his coach tell it, Victor started showing signs of greatness at a very early age.
He developed a very strong, what we call a poems game. He developed a poems game the same way that the Russian played. He would trade off big pieces and not a poem. That's interesting because usually beginner players never do that. They never want to trade off the little poems, so they just trade off some things like that. We worked with him on that side. Well, maybe he has a chance.
There's a special relationship between this coach and his chess player. They're also father and son.
Yes, it's hard being a father and a coach because sometimes he doesn't feel the pressure. I do. And I tend to get very nervous for him. But it helps me more to be able to tell him what he's doing wrong and be able to work on his game.
How do you get people together so that you can really get a good game other than playing with a computer?
With my uncles, they know how to play. Like, my whole family knows how to play, so I play with them a lot. And my father.
Can you beat him?
Yes, I could beat him. He's a very strong player now, though. I mean, before I used to beat him like 70 games out of 70 sometimes. Now we play games and we come out with just about an even draw or just winning by one match.
If you've won a national championship at the age of 13, what goals can a young chess player still have?
I want to, become a grandmaster.
What is it going to take for you to get to that level?
A lot of reading.
In an exhibition game set up during the District 9 annual chess tournament, Victor easily won his matches. I'm Gary Axelbank reporting for BXNY.
This next piece was a story that you could never shoot today the way we did it 3 decades ago. This was a feature on a Bronx boy who became a Major League Baseball umpire. What makes this story so unique is that we had our camera on the field before the game, but cameraman Al Cachapo was on the field even after the umpires met with the managers and the players came out on the field to start the game. So we got some exclusive footage until literally just moments before the first pitch was thrown. Also, you'll see that we shot actual game footage, whereas nowadays, of course, all the live action of Major League Baseball is heavily licensed, and we could never do that. Another incredible feature of this story, I got into the umpire's locker room to interview the umpires, something you will never see today. Add in that the umpire criticized by name the owner of a Major League Baseball team, something that could never happen today, because if he did that, he wouldn't have a job the next day. So let's go back to the summer of 1995 at Shea Stadium and the BronxNet BXNY feature on Major League umpire John McSherry.
Lots of kids who grow up in the Bronx would like to make it to the major leagues, but few ever do. This is the story of one boy who grew up in the Fordham section and is now an important part of Major League Baseball.
Here are the umpires for today's game. Behind the plate, Jeff Kellogg. At first base, John McSherry.
Meet National League umpire John McSherry. This 50-year-old son of Irish immigrants grew up with his sister on Davidson Avenue, right off Fordham Road. McSherry is now working his 23rd baseball season.
I would not change where I grew up for any reason in the world. I just think that the atmosphere in the Bronx and in Talentine and in the city of New York at the time I grew up, it was a great conditioner for what I ended up doing in the future and what everybody did. And friendships that were made then seem to have lasted longer. When I see my friends and my colleagues in umpiring, they all seem to, have kind of gone away. Most of the people I knew are in the Bronx are still connected with it, even if they don't live there anymore.
Never a baseball player, McSherry umpired his first game in 1960 at Frankie Frisch Field on Webster Avenue.
I worked all the parks in the Bronx, Babe Ruth, McCombs Dam, Crotona, Harris, Van Cortlandt, all of them. It's an ability to run a game and run yourself on the field, and that kind of blends in with everybody's different persona, and I think you need to work from your persona.
McSherry has the perfect persona for an umpire. He's direct, definitive, and unemotional. So it's no wonder that he has risen to the top of his craft.
What excites you about it is you are doing something that very few people can do, understand, and you are part of an overall thing that affects a lot of people's lives. And there is a basic excitement to the game and to all sports. And if you don't feel that excitement, then you're probably not a very good umpire, and you're probably not part of it. The fact that you're on a field with Reggie Jackson, or you're on a field with Stan Musial, that's not really part of it. And that's a fan's thing. Boy, you get to meet all the players. Well, the players get to meet us, and that's the way we look at it.
Having grown up in the Bronx and still proud of his roots, one distinct opinion that McSherry does have is about his borough's relationship to its home team, the New York Yankees.
I still feel part of the Bronx. I'm in the Bronx. I eat at restaurants in the Bronx. I exist in the Bronx. And Yankee Stadium is a very identifiable thing with baseball and with the Bronx. Also, if it leaves, it's really one of the last national identification things we have. And the Bronx is a much better borough now than it was 10 years ago. And Steinbrenner keeps painting that picture the wrong way, and I don't like that.
So as the baseball strike draws nearer, on this sunny day in Queens, there was some pride for the Bronx as hometown baseball star Bobby Bonilla and umpiring great John McSherry worked on the same turf.
The borough, from what I can see, and I don't have facts and figures and all that, appears to be in far better shape than it was 10 years ago. There seems to be more life to it. There seems to be people out. The roads seem to be better, and hopefully I'm right, because it's a part of my life and probably will be all of my life.
As the game's last out was made, the Marlins celebrated their 2-0 victory while the Mets tried to figure out what went wrong. Bronxite John McSherry walked off the field unnoticed to get ready for his flight to bring a bit of the Bronx to another Major League town. From Shea Stadium, Gary Axelbank for BXNY.
Let's stay with Bronx baseball for our next story. On August 13th, 1995, one of the greatest baseball players of all time died. He starred in the Bronx, of course, with the New York Yankees. We're talking about Hall of Famer Mickey Mantle. So what you'll see in this story is not only, of course, some words about his incredible career with the Yankees in the Bronx, but we attended the game at Yankee Stadium the day after he died and spoke to fans outside the stadium who had some vivid memories of the Mick. Ironically, one fan we spoke to had an eerie facial resemblance to Mickey Mantle. See if you can pick him out. Anyway, here's the obit I did on BronxNet's BXNY about the late, great Mickey Mantle.
Gary Axelbank begins our team coverage with more on the Mick. Gary?
Well, yesterday, as you all know, and as we all know, yesterday was a significant day in the history of Bronx sports. People had to come to grips with the passing of one of America's best-loved sports figures, number 7, Mickey Mantle. In the post-war era, when Americans were discovering new levels of celebrity for their heroes, huge fame led to one-name icons. For instance, all you needed to say was Elvis or Marilyn. And then the man who had the task of stepping into Joe DiMaggio's shoes, of commanding center field for the New York Yankees, Mickey, used the new era of television to not only exceed the renown of the Yankee Clipper, but pave his own legend, a legend that was filled with home runs and humility in the face of crippling injury. And for the Bronx, the fact is, it was not Ruth, not Gehrig, not Joe D, and not Reggie, but it was the Mick who hit the most home runs ever at Yankee Stadium. And now, in his wake, as we recall his greatness, we're forced to also remember how his talent and celebrity opened the door for the excesses that led to his premature demise on the field and in life. So thanks for the memories, number 7. We'll never forget what it was like when you played on the Field of Dreams here in the Bronx.
Just fought through a lot of injuries and played all out every game that I ever saw him in. And that's what he meant to me, someone who never gave up.
Trying to explain to a young person, maybe he doesn't understand it, but to us he was a hero.
What did Mantle mean to you when you were a kid?
Everything.
He was like a real professional. Just ball players aren't like him no more. You know, he was down to earth. He played the game hard. That's the way it was.
We moved to Tampa Bay about 16 years ago. Come back, always come to Yankee Stadium. The Mick died, the stadium died.
I couldn't think of a better way to spend my day today but coming to Yankee Stadium and honoring Mickey.
Do you have any specific memories, like you close your eyes and you think of what either looks like or something you saw happen about Mantle?
His neck.
I was here 30 years ago. It was the last time I was in the Yankee Stadium. Mickey Mantle was batting right-handed. I looked down. I said to my friend, he's going to hit one out of here right now. He parked it in center field. Had to be here today.
And then as people were leaving the stadium, we listened to this Mantle fan who added just the right note for a somber day. And we will have more about the Mick and all the Bronx sports coming up later in this newscast. Darren, Arlene.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you.
Last year, a legendary Bronx high school teacher, Tom Porton, passed away. Mr. Porton inspired thousands of Bronx students at James Monroe High School with his creative use of the arts, performance, and music. He also started a remarkable AIDS information and prevention program where high school students would meet people on street corners, educating them about AIDS, how to stop the spread of it, and also how to get help if, in fact, you are infected. It was innovative and brilliant, and not only educated students, but also had a positive impact on the lives of many people in the Bronx. In fact, because of his uniqueness and dedication, he was the very first New York City teacher to be inducted into the National Teachers Hall of Fame. So here's the feature I did about Tom Porton in the mid-90s when he was inducted into that prestigious institution. I think you'll be able to see why Tom Porton was a special teacher who to this day is beloved by his former students. May he rest in peace.
For James Monroe High School's Tom Porton, the craft of teaching goes far beyond standing in front of a class. Oh, as an English teacher, he's been in front of many classes since he came to Monroe in 1968. But it's the world that he's opened up for his students, that have taken this short, bearded man from the Bronx all the way to Emporia, Kansas, as the first New York City teacher selected for the 4-year-old National Teachers Hall of Fame.
I would have been just one of those kids that sat in the corner and never did anything, just worried about my schoolwork. But Mr. Poyen is like, when I'm here with him, I'm outgoing. I go, you know, I do things, you know, and I'm always involved in school activities.
When I came to the school, I really didn't have a high self-esteem. Like, my father just died, and I was going through a lot of things at my home. And then I met him, and my life changed because he introduced me to so many different things.
Tom is so special. The theme of our school, if you will, is James Monroe High School, where dreams become reality, and Tom is one of the reasons why youngsters' dreams are realized.
There were some people at Monroe who told me, don't go there, you're going to be weighing over your head. And Tom Porton said, that's great, you know, why not Harvard?
If you want to follow Tom Porton around during a school day at Monroe, you'd better bring your track shoes. For one, the phone never stops ringing in his crowded, noisy 5th-floor office, which is usually bustling with activity. On this day, it's Baskets of Love, which are toiletries and candies sent to hundreds of AIDS patients throughout New York City hospitals. And along with the goods, which sadly are luxury items for many terminal AIDS patients, Tom's HIV/AIDS peer education students teach other Monrovians about AIDS and inspire them to write personalized letters of encouragement that are included in each basket of love. By the way, under Tom's guidance, this award-winning AIDS peer education group has brought AIDS prevention information to Bronx street corners and has commandeered all of the city's high schools in annual AIDS awareness conferences. So with Baskets of Love production in full swing, Tom is off to the next project. He hauls the TV roll-around to the first-floor auditorium, where he helps set up the special educational dramatic production that he's arranged for Monroe students on this day. And then, on his way back upstairs, Tom pauses to advise a colleague. And then, it's a few moments to work on the scenery for the school's upcoming production of a modern Cinderella play that Tom and his students have written. In a flash, Tom is off to check on how his AIDS peer education students are doing in the classroom. And then, it's back to the auditorium to get the day's performance underway. And then on the way back to the office, when the elevator operator has taken an early lunch break, of course, it's Tom Porton, who happens to have the right key and gets the show on the road.
Tom Porton has been the heart and soul of Monroe for the last 25 years. The interest he puts into his children is so unique that I have never found anybody else who has such a commitment to the kids and to everything that goes on about the school.
Just stepping into his shoes for 2 days, I was exhausted. So I don't know how he does it.
Tom Porton was an English major at New York University, where he also got his master's. Selected as Monroe High School's first coordinator of student affairs when the concept was established by the Board of Ed in 1971, Tom boasts of having created the city's first ever high school street fair, which cleaned up a drug-infested alleyway near the school. But aside from the years of teaching students to work for their communities, which has catapulted students like Sophia Quintero to important careers as public service executives, Tom has turned youngsters' lives around, sometimes by saving them.
I remember one young lady whose name I won't mention on camera, in 1975, who, during a rehearsal of one of my shows, climbed up on the catwalk backstage and threatened to jump off because she was so depressed. And for an hour, I was trying to talk her down. And today, she's a lawyer.
When I was just depressed at any given time, he would be there in my sad times. He would be there in my happy times. You know, we would laugh together. Or when I'm sad, he would help me or console me or get into contact with my mother or whatever. But whatever he had to do, he'll do it to make me happy.
He makes students independent. He showcases their talents. He brings success to them. He's just the best.
He will go 100 miles, not 9 yards, to do anything he can so that a youngster reaches his or her potential. He is truly the quintessential person as well as educator. I love Tom Porton.
Congratulations to Tom Fortin for being named into the National Teachers Hall of Fame. No one deserves it more than you.
We love you, Mr. Fortin.
From James Monroe High School, Gary Axelbank for BXNY.
Sent from the future to save the past, heal the planet and make it last. We find solutions with knowledge slides. Venture forth, echo leaders unite. Echo leaders, echo leaders.
To conclude our look at the borough's first TV news show, BXNY, BronxNet's news program, we're going to get everyone in the holiday spirit with music from a school chorus who rehearsed in the living room of a school aide, and they ultimately were featured in a musical on Broadway. They literally made it all the way from the Bronx to Broadway. It was an experience neither they nor any of us who were there will ever forget. Allow yourself to get inspired by Bronx children. Happy holidays.
The Glee Club at PS 26 has made it big. After rehearsing in their conductor's living room every week for 7 years, these 25 children will open on Broadway tonight in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. In this first of 2 parts, Gary Axelbank followed the PS 26 children as they went from the Bronx to Broadway.
It's a home like thousands of other homes in the Bronx. But inside this one, between Burnside and Tremont Avenues in the Bronx, something very special is going on. What you're watching is a rehearsal of the PS 26 Glee Club. Without facilities in school nor the funds to rent a rehearsal hall, school family worker Glenda Eiffel has rehearsed these 25 children each week in her Mars Heights living room for the past 7 years.
I try to get them like a family, and I feel the only way to keep that family thing going is to have them right here at home, and the parents know they're here, that they're safe, and I don't think I want to go anyplace else to rehearse. I don't know. So we don't have much room, but we get just closer, right?
If you're enjoying watching and listening to these children sing, you're not alone. After passing a series of auditions, incredibly, the Glee Club from PS 26 in the Bronx and from Glenda Eiffel's living room was selected to perform in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which opens tonight on Broadway.
It gives me the greatest of pleasure to watch their faces when they have done something really well. And the adults, the parents said, "Oh, is that my daughter? I can't believe that my daughter could perform that well."
I've always wanted to be on stage, you know, because when you're on stage and you're gonna sing, you express your feelings in a song, and that's my dream.
While the experience of rehearsing for a Broadway show has been a dream come true for most of these kids, it has not been without disappointment. Because School District 10 would not release Ms. Eiffel from her daily school duties, for the 2 weeks of rehearsal, the PS 26 Glee Club had to get on the bus each day to go downtown to rehearse for their Broadway show without their leader, mentor, and inspiration.
I love Miss Eiffel as my mother, so it was like, it's a big step for me not to be with my mother all the way. So, you know, I really missed her a lot.
But this is a story with a happy ending. The children learned that being on Broadway was more about them and their ability than the administrative squabbling of the school district, and they persevered. And now, tonight, at the Minskoff Theater, these children from the South Bronx will make their debut. It's opening night on Broadway.
I wish somebody who is looking at this would think a little more highly of the kids from the Bronx, especially from PS 26. We have been dumped on for years and years and years. It's about time it stops. Glory, glory, hallelujah, His truth is marching on.
Gary Axelbank reporting for BXNY.
Last night on BXNY, Gary Axelbank told us about the PS 26 Glee Club rehearsing in a South Bronx living room. Tonight, Gary concludes his 2-part report about the public school group that went from the Bronx to Broadway.
It's a fantasy story. The PS26 Glee Club spent years of weekly rehearsals in this modest Bronx living room. Their leader, school family worker Glenda Eiffel, entered them in an audition for a Broadway play on a hunch. A few months later, for these 25 Bronx school children, it's opening night at the Minskoff Theater. Opening night on Broadway is always magical. For the PS26 Glee Club, tonight's opening of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat is a dream come true.
This is the great thing that ever happened in my life, you know? And this is the opportunity that nobody else can have. And it's really fun to be in this, working with famous people.
It feels real good. Like when they stand up and cheer for you, it makes you feel real proud that you're on that stage.
You could go and tell your friends, I'm in Broadway now. So all my life I wanted to be a singer. And it's just something new that you could do to get your mind off of everything else.
Andrew Lloyd Webber's production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which opened last night, is a lavish musical with all the Technicolor trimmings. This revamped version of the biblical story of Joseph and the Coat of Many Colors stars television soap star Michael Damian. In the show, Joseph succeeds because of his everlasting faith in himself. Well, it's the same story for the PS26 Glee Club, who will be performing in Joseph 4 times a week through the holiday season.
Most of the time it's only adults, and over here, you know, you kids can relate to it, and it's also a good opportunity for the kids.
They got to participate about as much as the grown-ups.
When all the kids together, it's one of the best shows in Broadway.
Joseph promoters are expecting to do big business, but for the PS26 Glee Club, business takes second stage to their incredible achievement.
People, they tell you, oh, you can't do it because where you're from and your background. And now it's like we've proven to them that they're wrong and we could do it if we try, and we did do it.
From the Great White Way, I'm Gary Axelbank for BXNY.
And that will do it for our holiday show and our look back into BronxNet from the mid-90s. Happy holidays to producer Ray Pagnucco and the cast of thousands who work with us here in the studio, and of course to you too, the people of the Bronx. Happy holidays to all, and to all a good night.